Hello, and welcome to another session of Recent Thoughts, the podcast where I talk about internal stuff as well as general topics and so on and so forth, and ramble on for them for 15 minutes. Today's topic was suggested by Rosie Casero. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. And Rosie wanted me to talk about school, as in how much value people put on politeness, discipline, etc., and your experiences with teachers and other classmates, and perhaps a discussion about how authoritarian teachers should be in school, plus your thoughts on homework, getting up early, exams, and stuff. That's a very, very good topic, and I'd love to talk about that. So we have our clock ready for 15 minutes, or set for 15 minutes. 3, 2, 1, go. I think I will first start with school overall, because I want to get into homework and exams and stuff like that later. I think prior to talking to this, I should say the school, I would say the school culture or whatever happens in school strictly depends on where you live, right? It's different from country to country. For example, our schools in Germany are completely different from schools in America. Or for example, in Canada. I can remember I had a friend I was talking to, and I still am talking to, about school. And that person lives in the USA. And even prior to us even getting any type of, electrical equipment, meaning like, I don't know, smart pads or iPads or something in school when I was in high school, right? They already were able to like submit homework and stuff like that, like online, and teachers could review that and so on and so forth. So it's completely different depending on what country. My time in high school was already a good amount of time ago. It was 3 years ago. And we were always the, I don't know, I would say transitional generation. Whenever we came into the play, like halfway into our year, shit started changing. I can remember, I believe it was in 10th grade or 11th grade. So high schools in Germany go up till 12th grade. So 12 years in school, not in high school. And so in 10th grade, I believe they started changing the blackboards for actual, like, I don't know, like touch boards or whatever the hell that you can like scribble onto as well. And I remember that being really, really cool. They also, instead of normal projectors that you can just like put, I don't know, like the translucent, like the translucent pages on, and then you can like write on with like fine liner or something. Now they had like Samsung TVs where you could just replay like, I don't know, PowerPoints or PDFs, PNGs, doesn't really matter what it is, right? It's a screen. And we were always really surprised about how much school is changing overall. So yeah, that was our time. Unfortunately, the end of high school was, cut off abruptly by the pandemic, because I finished high school in 2020, and that was at the height of the pandemic. I can remember studying for the final exams of the 12th grade, where all of a sudden this little cool virus thingy started happening, and then all of a sudden the entire school and the entire city was locked down, and we were essentially just told to wait, and that wait took for about 2 months, 3 months. And, you know, as a kid, that's cool. Yeah, yippee, we have, you know, time off of school. But after a month, it already becomes boring. And also, you kind of have to learn for final exams on your own, which, you know, children never do or very rarely do. And so that was very scary, not gonna lie. Overall, I don't think I visited the best high school out of all of them. So stuff regarding discipline and politeness were always next to the matter. I don't know how exactly it is in American high schools, but German high schools do tend to have like an etiquette, right, where they are trying to be as kind as possible and you know, not assholes. But teenagers are the same overall in the entire world. Teenagers are going to be rude, and so on and so forth. I on the part of, you know, regarding politeness and discipline, I come from a relatively like strict Russian family. So discipline and politeness were always something that I wanted to hold on to. I always try to be polite and disciplined. It never really got to the point where there was like big school fights. I remember having a bunch of looking at a bunch of school fights and stuff like that, where two idiots just started bashing their heads against each other. You know, it always happens. So I think regarding politeness, my experiences were relatively straightforward. Everything from the 7th to the 10th grade is kind of a blur between teenagers, you know, being assholes. But the older they got, and the older we got, right? The more mature people started behaving. I remember feeling an actual difference when we transitioned from 11th to 12th grade. And that was really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think that was really cool to see. And it was really nice to see that people around you started aging as well. So yeah, it was pretty nice. And with regarding teachers, you know, we always have our little stories about teachers. I would say most of the teachers were fine. Most of the teachers were, you know, funny and entertaining to listen to. Some of them were assholes. Some of them wanted to see you fail. I remember there was a very special teacher, which kind of seemed like he hated all of us, which I think he did. He always started complaining about, oh, what's the next generation gonna look like if you're already that bad or whatever. I believe it was like literature or German or whatever. But in the background, you know, when people actually put effort in, he gave good grades in exams, which is really cool, actually. Something that I have not really seen in a lot of teachers. We had our fair share of just funny moments back when we were, or not we, but half the class was on a trip to the Alps, I believe, for a ski trip. I remember people telling me, or coming back from the telling me that like half of the time the teachers were hammered. they were just drunk as hell in the afternoon, so it was really funny hanging out with them. And other teachers were, you know, just annoying as all hell, trying to impose their own rules onto us, which with teenagers never really works. I don't think they understand that they're in a classroom full of hormonal people that do not care. I've always been on the less popular side in school. I'm going to talk about classmates a bit, and then I'm going to jump onto homework and exams. Um, I was never really a popular kid. I ran around with my mates, trying to kind of, just chill from time to time. I always had the gamer group, because we like gaming. All right, we like gaming. We like movies. We were kind of the nerds slash geeks of the entire class, which was okay. There was a fair share of bullying done to us. I'm not gonna lie, to me, in particular for about 5 years. I'm looking back at it uh, fondly, I would say. I don't, I don't know. I don't think I see it as a full negative. I think that like the judging and the bullying, I would say, quote unquote, got me out of a situation where I would probably be like really cringy afterwards as an adult, right? At the same time, sometimes it was too much, and it really hurt. But teenagers are teenagers. I honestly, I don't feel like hating on the people that, you know, bullied me or something like that. Some of them I actually talked to recently, which is pretty cool. And obviously they know what they did wrong, right? If they don't know what they did wrong, then I'm not going to talk to them. As a general piece of advice, I would definitely say that it gets better. With time, it gets better. I don't know about American high schools and stuff like that. I always have these stereotypical like bullies that mash you next to your locker or something and say like, "You stay away, or we're gonna like, I don't know, put a bucket of shit over your head or something." I don't know. But it does get better, especially after you finish high school. You understand that all that they did, everything that they did, was not because they had fun doing it, or because, just because. It's probably because they themselves have had bad experience, maybe in the family, and so they're trying out their anger at you, or maybe they were just childish and just bullied people, right? And over the time they realized, okay, maybe that was wrong, maybe that was too much. So I would say that's everything I have to tell you about classmates. It's not too much. I still hang with classmates that are friends of mine. Some of them I completely broke contact off. Some of them I don't talk to. It happens. Adult life. Like speaking about that, teachers should definitely have authority, and also, they're in the role of essentially parenting, right? Parenting on a different level, which also expands the knowledge of the child. Not all parents can do it. So I think having a strict teacher is nice. Having an overly strict teacher is not really nice. Homework, I think, and this is just my German me coming out. I think it's very good. I think in my life, it helped me a lot. It helped me understand that I can't just wing it all of the time, especially where I study, which is law school. I can't just wing everything, right? I need to learn. I need to sit down at home or in the library, right? And learn for myself. I need to read it again. I need to rehearse some stuff, get some, memorize some stuff. And homework that's being imposed on you in high school definitely helps with that, I would say. It helps with teaching you the mentality of you should do something out of the time zone of school. I think it's less about doing it at home rather than doing it outside of the time zone of the school, right? And it's the same with getting up early. Humans, or as a society, we've decided ultimately that things start relatively early, especially in Germany. Especially in Germany, everything starts very, very early, and everyone starts working early. And it's not only because of that that it is good, I think, to get that into your brain. I think having a sleep schedule where you are getting up early, since humans are not nocturnal, they rise with the sun, and the sun rises relatively early. It's very nice. It's very good for your mental health, for your physical health, and I always try to improve on that, going to bed like earlier, and then also waking up earlier. Just as an adult, you kind of understand, okay, I don't want to go to bed at like 4 a.m. again, right? Maybe I'll go to bed at 1 and then wake up at like 9 or 8. It's really nice. Same with exams. Life is not fucking, it's not easy. So having something to challenge you is always very nice. And exams as a form of checking your knowledge, maybe sometimes it's flawed, but I think overall it's very good, speaking from a like a mental point of view. I spoke a bit too much, I spoke a bit too fast, but I'm sorry, and we are officially out of time, 15 minutes. I didn't really touch on everything that I wanted to touch on, just because I only have 15 minutes to do all of these things. But nevertheless, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you enjoyed doing whatever you were doing in the background. As I always say, feel free to put me in the background, and just listen to while you are drawing, while you're doing work, stuff like that. Don't forget to check the podcast out on Spotify, and I think that's all I've got to say for today. I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.